J. Straw, The Calling, by Rodney Hamright and Suterwright. In the year 2029, J. Straw, a young black male with long dreadlocks, grappled with the incessant chatter of voices echoing through his mind. At least 5 distinct personas manifested, speaking in riddles and jokes that dance on the edge of madness. Yet J. Straw is no ordinary man. He is a time traveler, his consciousness transcending the boundaries of the human realm to traverse the timeline. Get it today at Amazon and Audible, or download at iTunes and listen on Apple Podcasts.
Cafe, their voices blending into the sounds of laughter and chattering patrons. Jaystra's dreadlocks rested neatly on his shoulders, swaying slightly as he leaned in to contribute to the spirited conversation that flowed around the table. "Did you hear about the sorcerer who turned himself invisible?" Jaystra asked with a grin, hoping to share a laugh with his friends. But before anyone could respond, the familiar voice of the scholar chimed in within his mind.
"This reminds me of an ancient tale wherein the protagonist—"
No, I haven't," replied one of his friends, a flicker of confusion crossing her face as she noticed Jaystra's sudden pause. "What happened?" Well, he couldn't see where he was going and ended up walking into a wall," Jaystra finished, forcing a chuckle. His friends laughed, but their voices were drowned out by the nagging presence of the trickster's riddles. "A man is pushing his car along a road when he comes to a hotel. He shouts, 'I'm bankrupt!' Why?" Jaystra clenched his jaw, trying to ignore the sea of voices inside his head. He wanted nothing more than to enjoy this rare moment of leisure with his friends, free from the enigmatic riddles and interjections of his uninvited mental guests. But no matter how hard he tried, their voices persisted, seeping into every crevice of his consciousness. "Hey, are you alright?" asked another friend, concern etching her features as she observed Jaystra's growing agitation. "You seem a bit distracted." "Fine, just fine," Jaystra managed to say through gritted teeth. "Just a little tired, that's all." The scholar countered his denial, adding, "Fatigue is but a symptom of the mind's inability to find harmony within itself. Perhaps you should seek solitude and reflection." "Maybe you just need some fresh air," suggested another friend, reaching out to pat Jaystra on the back. "We'll save your seat." "Good idea," Jaystra agreed, pushing his chair back and rising to his feet. He hoped, desperately, that a brief reprieve from the lively atmosphere would silence the voices that tormented him. "Thanks, guys," he said, offering them a strained smile as he stepped away from the table. But even as he moved further from his friends and the warmth of their laughter, the voices in his head only seemed to grow louder, their riddles and jokes echoing relentlessly through his thoughts. "Please, just give me a moment's peace," he muttered to himself, his frustration bubbling like an untamed cauldron. And yet, as he walked away from the cafe, the trickster taunted him with yet another perplexing riddle. "You see a boat filled with people. It has not sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat. Why?" Calling. The moment Jaystra stepped outside, the chill of the New York City air hit him like a slap in the face. He took a deep breath, hoping it would clear his mind, but the voices persisted. The trickster's riddle played on a loop. "You see a boat filled with people. It has not sunk, but when you look again, you don't see a single person on the boat. Why?" "Enough!" Jaystra exclaimed, drawing curious glances from passerby. "Come now, Jaystra," the temptress purred, her sultry voice wrapping around his thoughts like silk. "Let us play. This city is ripe with opportunities for amusement and indulgence." "Amusement?" Jaystra thought, feeling anything but amused. He couldn't focus on the city's sights and sound while these voices plagued him like a relentless swarm of bees. "Indulgence later," the warrior interjected firmly. "For now, focus on finding balance, Jaystra." "Balance? In this craziness?" Jaystra muttered, rolling his eyes as he began walking through the bustling streets, his dreadlocks swaying with each step. Horns honked, sirens wailed, and people shouted over the din, making it nearly impossible to find any semblance of solace in the chaos.
Perhaps a change of scenery is all we need,
the scholar mused, his calm tone a balm against the tumult.
I hear Central Park is lovely this time of year.
Or perhaps I just need a moment free from your incessant chatter, Jastra thought bitterly. But he knew escape was futile, so he trudged on, weaving through the throngs of people, feeling more alone than ever amidst the sea of humanity. Jastra, dear boy, there's no need to be so dour, the trickster chided, his voice like the tinkling of bells. Why not turn that frown upside down and solve this riddle? It's quite elementary, you know. Elementary? Jastra grumbled under his breath. I've got 4 voices in my head, each clamoring for attention, and I'm supposed to solve riddles? Exactly! The trickster replied with a smug satisfaction. Give it a try. You might find the answer enlightening. Fine, Jastra conceded, more to shut the trickster up than anything else. He mulled over the riddle as he walked, trying to ignore the sensory overload assaulting him from all sides. Maybe the people were simply hidden from view, suggested the warrior.
Or perhaps the boat was an illusion,
the scholar added thoughtfully. Or, the temptress whispered, her voice dripping with honeyed intrigue, the answer lies in something more intimate. Enough! Jastra snapped, his patience wearing thin. I need space to think. Very well, the trickster acquiesced, his laughter fading into silence as the other voices followed suit. Miraculously, the voices hushed, leaving Jastra to walk the noisy streets of New York City alone with his thoughts for the first time since they'd appeared. He couldn't help but feel a sense of victory, however fleeting it might be. As he pondered the riddle, a flicker of amusement sparked within him. They were all below deck, he muttered, chuckling at the simplicity of the answer. Maybe there was hope for him yet. Calling. A unicycle spun wildly through the air, its tires screeching as it hurtled towards Jastra. Startled, he leaped back just in time to avoid being struck by the rogue wheel. The street performer riding it, a mime with an exaggerated expression of horror painted on his face, tumbled gracelessly onto the pavement in front of him. Look out! Cried the warrior, his voice tinged with amusement. Fabulous, muttered Jastra, rolling his eyes. Now I've got a mime to deal with. The mime scrambled to his feet, miming a lasso around the runaway unicycle and reeling it back in. He then bowed extravagantly, tipping his imaginary hat to the growing crowd that had assembled to watch the spectacle. Laughter and applause filled the air. Bravo! Exclaimed the trickster, clapping enthusiastically. What a marvelous show! Tell me about it, grumbled Jastra, pushing his way through the amused pedestrians. He needed to escape this chaos, but where could he find solace in a city as cacophonous as New York? Ugh, enough with the riddles already, he muttered under his breath as the seeker piped up with another question. The voices were relentless, their riddles more perplexing and their jokes more absurd by the minute.
Come now, Jastra,
the scholar chided gently.
There is wisdom to be gained from these puzzles.
Maybe I don't want wisdom, he snapped. Maybe I just want some peace and quiet. Try the park, suggested the temptress, her voice a sultry whisper. It can be quite serene. Fine, Jastra sighed, changing course and heading towards Central Park. It seemed as good a place as any to try and escape the relentless barrage of voices. As he strolled through the park, the sounds of laughter and idle chatter from families enjoying picnics faded into the background. The sunlight dappled through the trees, casting a warm glow on the grass beneath his feet. It was almost peaceful, if not for the persistent voices in his head. All right, Jastra said wearily. Give me another riddle. Very well, the trickster replied gleefully. I am taken from a mine and shut up in a wooden case, from which I am never released, and yet I am used by almost every person. What am I? Taken from a mine, Jastra pondered aloud. Some sort of metal, perhaps?
Or a gemstone,
The warrior suggested.
maybe it's coal.
Offered the scholar. Or something more precious, purred the temptress. Enough! Jastra roared, clenching his fists. I can't take this anymore! Patience, Jastra, the seeker counseled softly. The answer is closer than you think. Jastra took a deep breath, trying to regain control of his emotions. He knew that losing his temper wouldn't help him solve the riddle or silence the voices. And so, with a mixture of frustration and determination, he set about trying to unravel the mystery before him. Calling. Sunlight glinted off the water as Jastra sat down on a park bench near the pond, seeking refuge from the chaos within. The gentle lapping of the water against the shore provided him with a soothing rhythm to focus on. Desperate for some semblance of control, he began to explore different methods to silence the incessant voices in his head. All right, Jastra said, covering his ears with his hands. I am the master of my own mind, and I command you all to be silent. Command us? The trickster cackled. Oh dear, Jastra, that's like trying to command the wind to stop blowing.
Or the tides to cease their ebb and flow,
added the scholar, his voice dripping with condescension. Perhaps a more persuasive approach would be effective, the temptress purred, her words wrapping around Jastra's thoughts like silk. Enough! Jastra shouted, his frustration mounting as he removed his hands from his ears. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, attempting to center himself through meditation. As he focused on his breathing, the noise in his mind seemed to fade, if only for a moment. Silence is golden, but duct tape is silver! The trickster whispered into the brief moment of quiet, causing Jastra's concentration to shatter like glass. Must you always ruin everything? Jastra grumbled, rubbing his temples. Ruining things is an art form, the trickster replied proudly. One must have a certain flair for chaos. Indeed, mused the seeker, but remember that even in chaos, there lies hidden order. Jastra shook his head, feeling utterly defeated. His heart weighed heavy with doubt as he questioned his sanity. Am I going mad? He wondered aloud, his voice barely a whisper.
Madness is but a matter of perspective,
the scholar replied sagely.
Many a great mind has been deemed insane by those who could not comprehend the depths of their thoughts.
Besides, the warrior interjected, insanity is just another form of resilience. Sometimes it takes a touch of madness to withstand the trials life throws at us. Or perhaps we are all mad here, mused the trickster, and sanity is merely an illusion. Is that supposed to be comforting? Jastra asked sarcastically, feeling no solace in the voice's attempts to console him. Comfort is overrated, the temptress purred. Embrace the uncertainty, Jastra, and let it guide you on your journey. Journey? Jastra echoed, his curiosity flowing despite his frustration. What journey? Ah, said the seeker, his voice as enigmatic as ever. That is a question for another time, dear Jastra. For now, simply note that there is more to these voices than meets the ear. Great, Jastra sighed, leaning back on the park bench and gazing up at the sky. Just when I thought things couldn't get any weirder. Calling. Jastra ambled through the bustling streets of New York, still reeling from his introspective moment in the park. His dreadlocks swayed with each step, brushing against his shoulders as if to remind him of the weight he carried within. The voices continued to chime in with their riddles and witty remarks, prodding at his frayed nerves. Enough! Jastra shouted inwardly, but the trickster merely chuckled in response.
Silence in a city such as this is but a fleeting dream, dear boy,
the scholar intoned sagely.
One must find solace in other ways.
Solace might have been too much to ask for, but as Jastra turned down a narrow side street, An old, dusty bookstore appeared before him like a mirage. The sign above the door read Tales of the Ancients in faded gold letters. Jastra hesitated for a moment, then shrugged. Why not? He muttered and pushed open the door. Inside, the dimly lit bookstore welcomed him into its quiet embrace. Shelves upon shelves of books lined the walls, their worn spines promising untold stories and forgotten knowledge. Jastra's eyes scanned the titles, searching for something that might help him make sense of the chaos in his head.
Let's see. Ancient mythology, mysticism,
the scholar whispered, guiding Jastra's gaze toward a section in the back corner.
Perhaps there you will find answers.
Or more questions, the trickster added with a snicker. Either way, it's worth a look, Jastra thought as he approached the section. He picked up a book on ancient prophecies and flipped through the pages, stopping when he came across a passage about individuals who heard voices similar to his own. A glimmer of hope sparked in his heart. Listen to this, Jastra murmured to the voices, reading aloud. Throughout history, there have been those who have claimed to hear the whispers of otherworldly beings. These individuals were thought to be either mad or blessed, depending on the culture and time period.
Interesting,
the scholar mused, while the warrior grunted in agreement. Maybe we're not so crazy after all, Jastra chuckled, feeling a sense of connection to these historical figures. He continued to read, devouring page after page about ancient prophecies, mysticism, and the power of the mind. Hours passed as he immersed himself in the text, discovering stories of others who had experienced similar phenomena. See, the seeker whispered softly, you are not alone, Jastra. There is purpose behind these voices. Indeed, the temptress purred. And just imagine what power you could wield with such knowledge at your fingertips. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Jastra cautioned, but he couldn't deny the excitement that coursed through him as he continued to read. For the first time in a long while, he felt as if he was on the cusp of understanding something far beyond the ordinary. A newfound determination blossomed within him, fueled by the hope that perhaps he wasn't losing his mind after all. Whether madman or prophet, Jastra whispered to himself, his eyes gleaming with resolve. I'll find my place in this world. And as he turned another page, the voices in his head seemed to hum in agreement. Calling. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city skyline as Jastra made his way home. His steps were light and purposeful, a stark contrast to the haphazard shuffle he had arrived at the bookstore with earlier that day. He clutched the bag of books tightly in his hand, a veritable treasure trove of knowledge that held the key to understanding the voices that plagued him. Ah, home sweet home, the trickster quipped as they approached Jastra's apartment building. I hope you brought snacks. More like food for thought, Jastra replied, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. He fumbled with his keys, excitement making his fingers clumsy, but eventually managed to unlock the door. Once inside, Jastra wasted no time in spreading his newfound resources across the floor of his small living room. He knelt among the books, his dreadlocks spilling over his shoulders as his eyes darted from one cover to another. Where to start? He mused aloud, his fingers hovering over the array of options.
Start with the beginning, of course,
the scholar suggested gently.
Understanding the origins of these voices will provide a solid foundation for further exploration.
Or just dive into the juicy bits, the temptress countered, her voice a sultry purr. There's nothing quite like a little power and influence to spice up one's life. Enough, Jastra chided, though there was an unmistakable hint of amusement in his tone. He selected a book on ancient seers and prophets, settling down cross-legged on the floor as he began to read. As the hours ticked by, Jastra felt the pieces of the puzzle slowly begin to click into place. The stories of others who had heard voices like his own filled him with a sense of camaraderie and purpose he had never thought possible. The voices, it seemed, were not a curse but a gift, an extraordinary ability that granted him the potential to transcend the boundaries of time and space. Can it be? Jastra whispered, his eyes wide with wonder as the realization dawned on him. Are we connected in some way to these ancient beings? Perhaps, the Seeker replied, her voice soft and enigmatic. But only by embracing our presence can you unlock the truth, Jastra.
Indeed,
the warrior agreed gruffly.
Fear and doubt will only hinder your progress.
Then I accept this gift, Jastra declared, his voice strong and steady. Together, we shall uncover the mysteries of the universe and find our place within it. Bravo! The trickster cheered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Now that we've settled that, can we please get back to the snacks discussion? Typical, Jastra sighed, rolling his eyes at the incorrigible voice in his head. But despite the trickster's antics, there was no denying the sense of purpose that now burned within him. He was no longer a lost soul, haunted by unseen specters. He was a seeker of knowledge, a pioneer on the path toward understanding the unknown. Ready or not, world, Jastra murmured, his fingers tracing the spine of another book. Here we come. And as the sun slipped away, replaced by the velvety blanket of night, the voices in Jastra's head hummed in harmonious agreement, eager for the journey ahead. Calling. Jastra stood beneath a hazy orange sky, the city light casting long shadows across his face. He held tightly to his newfound understanding like a map of uncharted territories, ready to embark on a journey that would lead him deep into the unknown. All right, you crazy bunch, he addressed the voices in his head. I accept your companionship, and together we'll uncover the truth behind our purpose. Finally! The trickster chimed in gleefully. We were starting to think you'd never come around.
Enough with the theatrics, the scholar reprimanded. Our journey will be treacherous, so we must remain vigilant.
Treacherous? Jastra's eyebrows shot up, a flicker of unease igniting within him. You didn't mention anything about treachery before. Ah, but where's the fun in spoiling all the surprises? The trickster teased, a note of wicked delight in his voice. Surprises? Jastra replied, his voice wavering. What sort of surprises are we talking about? Wouldn't you like to know? The temptress purred seductively. Trust us, Jastra, and we'll guide you through the perils ahead. Great, Jastra muttered, feeling the weight of his decision settle heavily upon his shoulders. Just what I needed, a perilous journey filled with unknown surprises.
Courage, young one,
the warrior urged.
Your fortitude will be tested, but you have the strength within you to prevail.
Besides, the seeker added gently, it is only through the unknown that we can truly find ourselves and unlock the secrets of the universe. Fine, Jastra relented, his jaw set with determination. Let's get started then. Checking himself for the trials ahead, he took a deep breath and stepped off the curb, his mind a whirlwind of anticipation, trepidation, and newfound purpose. As he moved through the bustling streets, he could feel the energy of the voices within him growing stronger, their presence a constant reminder that he was no longer alone in his quest.
Remember,
the scholar cautioned,
this journey will challenge not only your physical strength, but also the very fabric of your existence.
Fantastic, Jastra grumbled, rolling his eyes at the thought of unraveling the threads of his own reality. Just what I needed, existential angst on top of everything else. But even as he complained, he couldn't deny the exhilaration coursing through his veins. The thrill of embarking on an adventure that would push him to his limits and beyond. For the first time in his life, Jastra felt truly alive, his heart singing with the promise of untold mysteries waiting to be discovered. All right, world, he whispered, a fierce grin spreading across his face. Bring it on! The voices echoed in agreement, their laughter and encouragement ringing in his ears like a symphony of chaos and harmony. Together, they strode forward into the unknown, prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead and to unlock the secrets of their enigmatic existence.
J. Straw, The Calling, by Rodney Hamright and Suda Wright. In the year 2029, J. Straw, a young black male with long dreadlocks, grappled with the incessant chatter of voices echoing through his mind. At least 5 distinct personas manifested, speaking in riddles and jokes that dance on the edge of madness. Yet J. Straw is no ordinary man. He is a time traveler, his consciousness transcending the boundaries of the human realm to traverse the timeline. Get it today at Amazon and Audible, or download at iTunes and listen on Apple Podcasts.